The inaugural FIA Formula E race was staged in equally grand surroundings as Beijing's Olympic Park played host in September. The scene of fantastic sporting triumphs from the 2008 Games, motorsport's newest entrants had much to live up to. The Forbidden City was a fitting backdrop for the scale and spirit of the new championship. After months of preparation and simulation driving, now was the time for drivers to look at each other in the eye for the first time, in the heat of competitive surroundings. As the teams and drivers lined up for the first event, no one could have foretold what was going to happen next.
Nico Prost was on pole position and held the lead on the way down into the first corner. Nick Heidfeld managed to go around the outside of Karun Chandok and move his Venturi car up into fourth position. The two Andretti cars were then doing battle into turn two. Charles Pic almost getting pushed in the wall by his teammate Franck Montagny, the Frenchman unimpressed by his countryman's antics. Bruno Senna was also out of the race after contact on the opening lap, his front left wheel broken. Sebastian Buemi had looked quick all weekend, but was starting to struggle. The rear wing coming away from his e.dams car, and he would have to pit. The battles were also on going into the pits, as Franck Montagny tried to get past Nick Heidfeld. The fans were enjoying the action as Nelson Piquet Jr. lost out to Takuma Sato, as the Japanese driver climbed up the order in his Amlin Aguri car. Karun Chandok was also on a charge, overtaking Sam Bird into the final corner. After losing out to Chandok, Bird then came into the pits to complete his mandatory pit stop, jumping from one car to the other and heading back into the race. But all eyes were on the battle for the lead. Nico Prost had led from the start, but Nick Heidfeld was closing in on him as they came into the penultimate corner for the final time. Heidfeld was right up behind the e.dams car and launched an attack going into the final turn. Prost blocked. Heidfeld was sent into a huge accident. Luckily, both drivers were okay, but there was horror in both garages, and there was fury for Nick Heidfeld. But it was the race victory for Lucas Di Grassi. The man who had been running third going into the final corner had taken victory in the first ever FIA Formula E race in Beijing. It was second place on the podium for Franck Montagny and the Andretti team, third place for Sam Bird and Virgin, but all focus was on Lucas Di Grassi and the AP team as they took victory in China. And now we're in Putrajaya, Malaysia for the second round of the FIA Formula E Championship. And after the dust settled on that dramatic final corner collision, Dario Franchitti caught up with the men involved.
All right, you guys provided the last lap entertainment in China. How are we feeling about it now, a couple of months on?
Well, it's like really behind us now. We spoke about it quickly afterwards, looked at the footage, then you will realize more was going on. And since then we already had 4 races together in actually the same car, sharing the car for Rebellion in the WEC Sports Car Championship. And yes, for me it's forgotten.
Nico?
I mean, the most important is that he's forgot me and that he's okay with no problems, you know. I'm really sorry for what happened. It was a bit of a complicated accident. I explained to him, I apologize, and you know, now I'm happy we move on.
Are you guys surprised at the level of intensity and the competition in the series? Because I know I have been.
No, I was not surprised. Of course, before race 1 you're never quite sure what to expect. I hoped that it would be that competitive, and that's part of the reason why I joined, because I think there's a really strong driver lineup there, and with the cars, at least in theory, or in fact on the starting point all being the same, and with not much developing happening, it was sure that everything was going to be very close.
All right, well thank you guys, and best of luck for this weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Formula E has 2 unique attributes. The first offers the fans the opportunity to directly influence the race.
It's huge in the sense that it's completely new in motorsport.
The fans are going to play a big role in how, you know, we finish in a race.
You bring the fan to the race, you give the fan a say in a race.
It can change at least one position and can make you win a race.
It's a good feeling knowing that you have all the fans behind you.
She vote for me. Second, I try fan boost, and if I win, we all go for dinner.
To win the fan boost, it's all about trying to be strong on social medias.
I keep feeding them with all interesting pictures of my day-to-day.
You really get a feedback from the fans and you engage with them in a different level.
Every time I'm having a TV interview like now, if you want to vote for me, it's fine.
It's up to you guys to make this thing work.
So this is a Formula E steering wheel. And what's important here, we're talking about the fan boost, is the back of the steering wheel, is this little paddle here that you have to activate. So you get 2 fan boosts, 1 in each car.
We go from 150 to 180 kilowatts. So we have like 20% more power.
And then you can overtake, you can do the fastest lap of the race, you can do pretty much what you want.
The second differentiation is the mid-race car change, where drivers and teams have to work as one.
Yeah, so we're changing cars, and it's something new that we've never done as drivers in any other racing series.
We're going to be coming in the garage, park the car.
So you jump out, run to the next car. The next car is already pre-prepared.
Get in the second car, don't do anything. Just wait for the mechanic to strap the belts in. You don't want to get stressed, nervous, and then miss something, because if the belt is not fixed properly, then you just got to stop. You cannot go on.
It's very easy for you to have a fumble with a seat belt, or you get stuck with the steering wheel or something like this.
You have around 30 seconds to do that. It's enough time to be safe, but also you cannot do any mistake, because any second extra here will mean that you lose a position on a racetrack.
Well, a very good afternoon to you all, and welcome to Putrajaya in Malaysia, 30 kilometers south of the capital of Kuala Lumpur. And Formula E burst onto the scene really a couple of months ago in Beijing. I don't think anyone could have predicted the excitement and the intensity to which the championship was born. And hopefully, if we can keep that running, then it's going to be very, very entertaining season indeed. My name is Jack Nichols. We've got Dario Franchitti and Nikki Shields alongside me in the broadcast team. And here is a look at this Putrajaya circuit. 2 long straights and then tight and twisty back sections. We'll talk more about this 2.5 kilometer long circuit in a few moments time. It's certainly one that's been entertaining the drivers throughout the weekend. And certainly this morning it's been very, very bumpy out there on the track, and we can now find out a little bit more about this Putrajaya circuit. Dario Franchitti has caught up with Frank Montani to speak about it.
Hi Frank.
Hello.
Thanks for spending the time.
No
Good.
problem, pleasure.
We were going to use your onboard, but something happened to the camera.
I heard that you didn't make it happen well.
No, it was actually good TV. Frank managed to break the camera.
I didn't break the camera. The camera wasn't fixed where it should be.
So we've got a lap of Buemes. Can you talk us through a little bit? Is there a lot to be doing in the car with the regen and all this stuff as you're driving around? Or
There's not much to do really. You just drive during the race. You drive most of the time with a paddle. So you slow down the car with the paddle on straight line just to regen a little bit, but you don't regen much. It's like it's a way to drive. It's a little bit different than what you do normally, but most of the time with a normal car, you lift off the throttle at the end of the straight to save fuel. It's more or less the same, just putting the paddle, but it doesn't change much. It doesn't upset the car on the braking. It doesn't change the philosophy of the car much. You just set up the car around that, and it's fine.
So you don't use the automatic regen when you brake?
No.
So each one's got a little different technique. Whatever you were doing in China worked well.
Yeah, it
very
works
well.
all right.
Yeah, because you were going the right direction. What about as far as the power application when you're accelerating? Do you leave it in one setting, or are you switching it on the straight all the time?
No, I leave it in one setting. Really, this is the kind of series I don't touch much the steering wheel. I don't feel like there is much to get from here. And especially because you arrive on circuit on Saturday morning and you finish on Saturday afternoon. There is more to gain from the track and from the driving style than from the car. The most important thing is to know how it works and to be sure it's working correctly, but after it's more like a risk to take than an advantage.
What do you think of this place so far?
It's cool, yeah, beautiful. I mean, it looks better than Beijing in terms of track, and I think the track is going to be real fun. Yeah, this one looks cool. I'm very impatient a bit more. See what happens.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. For you guys at home, keep your eyes on the telemetry wheel here. The number you see in the middle of the dial is the usable battery power remaining for the driver. The bar on the right side is the power he is currently using in kilowatts. As he deaccelerates, the system regenerates. The winning and losing of the race is the managing of the power.
Qualifying took place this morning, and there was drama immediately as Daniel Abt hit the barriers on the exit of turn 3. He managed to guide his crabbing Abt car around to set the quickest time in the session, with Nelson Piquet Jr. finishing the session in 2nd place. Senna, Brabham and Sarrazin completing the top 5 in the first group out on track. In the second group, Karun Chandok was pushing hard, and he ended up going quickest of anyone. very impressive performance from the Mahindra driver, but he was second still to Daniel Abt as Frank Montani pushed hard. Jarno Trulli as well had a good run. He then usurped Chandok at the top of the times while his teammate Michele Cerruti lost a wheel. Meanwhile, Ho Pin Tung ended up in the barriers on the run down towards turn 10. Frustration for the China racing team, but it was still good news for Daniel Abt as he stayed on top of the timings. At the start of the third session, it was problems immediately for Nico Prost. He had to reverse out, and then Sebastian Buemi made a mistake. He couldn't then get a hot lap together, meaning he'll start the race right down towards the back of the grid. Nico Prost was still out there lapping quickly, and just as the session was drawing to a conclusion, he set the fastest lap of anyone to take provisional pole position. Oriol Servia was out there for the Dragon team, looking strong. He went second quickest, and Nico Prost's 10-place grid penalty meant that no matter what happened, he wouldn't be starting from pole position. In the fourth qualifying group, Lucas de Grassi hit the wall, eliminating one of the favourites, and then Jaime Alguersuari came up to the back of de Grassi and slid wide into the barriers. In what was supposedly going to be the fastest session, it was only Sam Bird who was left out there to set a representative lap time, but no one could stop Nico Prost at the top of the timing screens, which meant that Oriol Servia will start the race from pole position because of Nico Prost's grid penalty from Beijing.
Need to focus on energy. You know, we only have a certain amount of energy to use through the race. If you push too much too early, you're gonna have to slow down at the end. So I think we have a good strategy, but probably the other 19 guys are feeling the same way. So we'll see.
There are the Prime Minister's offices there, overlooking this Putrajaya circuit, the Putrajaya Mosque on the left-hand side. It really is a spectacular venue for a race, and before too long that racing will be getting underway. Just about 18 minutes until we get the action going, and certainly the action's already going down there on the grid. One big piece of news to bring you after qualifying, and that's that the second place man on the grid, Jerome D'Ambrosio, has been relegated to the back of the grid for using 205 kilowatts of energy. Now we can hear from Mr. Najib Razak, the Malaysian Prime Minister. He's down on the grid talking to our pit lane reporter, Nikki Shields.
Well, I'm here with the Prime Minister, Najib Razak, who has made all of this possible today. Now, it's been a long time coming. There's been 6 months of infrastructure, I believe, in the making. Why is it so important that you're supporting a sustainable motorsport?
I think basically, you know, we believe in growing green. We believe that we must play our part to cut down on carbon emission. And I think this is the right signal that we are serious about it, and we want to promote electric cars, reduce emission, amongst other things. And I think this is a good way. And at the same time, we can showcase Putrajaya, because I think Putrajaya is a wonderful administrative centre that we can showcase to the world.
And the setup here is just incredible. It's fantastic. A lot of work must have gone into that.
There's a lot of work, and I believe the drivers find the circuit very exciting. So I'm really looking forward to the race.
They did. They've given it a lot of thumbs up. We're also joined the CEO of Formula E, Alejandro Agag. Now, we've had 11 weeks since the last race in Beijing, but is Formula E coming back bigger and better than ever?
Well, you know, this is incredible what they've done here in Malaysia, in Putrajaya. Amazing support, amazing circuit. The vision of the Prime Minister for a greener mobility and electric cars, you know, we're here to help on that. Very thankful, very grateful. It's amazing. Thank you, Prime Minister.
And Prime Minister, your offices are very close to here as well. You've got a pretty good view, I think.
Right from my room, I have the best view in town.
Well, maybe we should be watching it from there instead.
No, you're most welcome to.
Thanks very much. Enjoy the race.
Thank you.
She's a real networker, Nikki Shields. She can get herself anywhere, including the Prime Minister's offices. So we'll see whether that comes to fruition. There they are, overlooking the start-finish straight here in Putrajaya. So yeah, just that news again about Jerome D'Ambrosio. He was due to start second on the grid, but he will be starting at the back of the grid. He used 205 kilowatts of power as opposed to the 200 kilowatts that you're allowed to use in the qualifying session. So a real shame. Dragon won't lock out the front row of the grid as we look over this temporary pit building. It took them 6 months to build it, take them 2 months to put it down, and there's a bit of light recreation if you want to. That's a good way to stay cool, actually, isn't it, by the looks of things, as we now see the bridge, at which point there is turn 10. Here are the championship standings after the first round in Beijing. Lucas de Grassi took the victory, 25 points for him. and Frank Montani with second place, Sam Bird in third, and the rest of the standings all in race finishing order essentially, except for Nico Prost there in ninth place, who picked up 3 points for setting pole position. Stefan Sarazan completing the top 10, and Takuma Sato as well. He picked up 2 points for setting the fastest lap, and Daniel Abt completing the points scorers in 12th place. There we can see the Putrajaya Mosque up in front of us as we head towards the circuit once again. And we can now hear from one of the most famous Malaysian actresses, Maya. She is down on the grid with Nikki.
Maya, great to have you here today. I believe you're a very famous actress here in Malaysia, so I'm sure lots of fans are watching. What does it mean to you to be here at the first Formula E race in Putrajaya?
Well, I'm very honored to be sort of a special guest here today. I followed sort of racing F1 on and off over the last 10 years, and it's really great to see me being an environmentalist as well and actively promoting environment here in Malaysia. So to have the Formula E now, hashtag sustainability, hashtag sort of, you know, keep the emissions low. It's just great to see. I'm really happy that we can combine sort of, you know, the love of racing and entertainment for people, as well as trying to take care a little bit of our planet.
Fantastic. Well, I hope you enjoyed the race. Thank you.
Putrajaya itself is a very eco-friendly city. It was built from the top down to be as green as possible. There's all sorts of green spaces around on the circuit as well. And well, earlier on we heard from Lucas Di Grassi. Dario Franchitti caught up with him ahead of the racing.
Okay, Lucas, we're a wee bit further back this way than you'd like. What's the plan to get up the front today?
Well, it's a long race, 31 laps. The heat can play a big effect on the batteries and on the performance of the cars. So we have to keep ourselves cool, you can see that, and make sure that we finish the race, that for sure we'll have a strong performance.
It looks it's easy to make a mistake out there on the track.
Yeah, the track is very bumpy, so when you miss the corner by maybe some few centimeters, you're already in a different bump and then can throw you into the wall, which happened to me in qualifying. That's why I'm starting here. But yeah, it can happen to everyone in the race, so we can expect a very busy race.
We're looking for a lot of excitement for you, man, so have a great day.
Thank you very much.
So Lucas Di Grassi will be starting 18th on the grid, just in front of Sebastian Buemi and Jerome D'Ambrosio, just behind Jaime Alguersuari. Those last four drivers on the grid are going to be something to watch out for, that's for certain. The race winner from Beijing all the way back there in 18th position, and of course our championship leader. Sebastian Buemi struggled in qualifying in Beijing as well, and he struggled here, locking up, going straight on down at turn 7, and as a result he'll start down in 19th place on the grid. You can see it's getting very, very busy down there. There's Oriol Servia, the man then who will start on pole position, and what a strong run it was for him in qualifying. The Spaniard for Dragon Racing starting on the very front row of the grid in pole position spot, and a really fantastic achievement from Dragon Racing, who are a very successful team, but were quite late to joining the Formula E party. They entered early, but they didn't make it to the first shakedown of the cars, for example, and then they were sort of playing catch-up from there on in, and that showed in Beijing, but they appear to have got everything all sorted out and are now sitting on pole position ahead of the second E-Prix of the season. There's Jarno Trulli. The Italian will start 4th on the grid in his Trulli Formula E team car. Great to see him towards the front as well, but it just shows you the depth and quality in this field, because Trulli, Bird, Abt, Servia at the front, and then D'Ambrosio, Buemi, Di Grassi and Alguersuari at the back. It really is going to be an exciting, exciting race. And there is Sebastian Buemi. 19th on the grid for him, just couldn't get a lap put together in that qualifying session, as he is getting suited and booted. The race is about 10 minutes away. And there is Sam Bird, who will be starting in 2nd place. And every race in Formula E, the fans can get online and vote for their favourite driver and give them an extra power boost at one point during the race. And they have now been announced, so we'll find out who has got that fan boost in a couple of moments' time. They'll basically get an extra boost of power at whatever time they choose to deploy it. Last time out in Beijing, it was Catherine Legge, Bruno Senna and Lucas de Grassi, who got the fan boost. And by the looks of it here, you can see that the 23 car in there of Nick Heidfeld, Catherine Legge and Bruno Senna have all been given the fan boost. So Nick Heidfeld is one of those men who has got the fan boost, and we can hear from him now. He was talking down with Nicky Shields when he found out.
Well, here we are with Nick Heidfeld on the grid. I've got some good news for you, Nick. The Justice campaign for you has worked and you've won the fan boost. Congratulations.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, there was a lot of talk about it in the last week, so it's great to have it, and I try to use it wisely.
Excellent. At what point do you think you might use it?
Well, it depends on the situation in front of me. You really have a lot more power than the cars ahead. So in theory, it's good to use it early in the race because everybody's close together. You're not allowed to use it in lap 1. So if I see everybody's close and I might overtake 2 cars in one go, I might use it then or later. But I have it on both cars. So thanks for everybody who voted for me, and have a good race.
You provided us with a lot of drama at the end of the inaugural Formula E race in Beijing. What can we expect to see from you today?
Well, I don't quite as far forward as I did in Beijing. I'm promoted to P7 here, which is reasonable. But we're struggling a bit. Will be interesting to see how it goes here in the race because it's a different matter. And obviously, I will try to move forward. But the thing is, 19 other drivers try to do the same.
Now, you had a little accident during qualifying. Was the car okay?
Yeah, car was fine. I mean, there was some damage to the front wing and the left front suspension. But I think the mechanics were really used to preparing the car after the crash in Beijing. So again, they did a fantastic job and no issues.
Congratulations. Well, hopefully the Justice for Heidfeld campaign will do the job for you. Good luck.
Yes, that was a very big movement on social media, was the Justice for Heidfeld as a result of the incident last time out. We can now hear from Jaime Alguersuari, who's with Nicky.
Jaime Alguersuari, can you just quickly tell us what happened to you in qualifying when you collided with the wall?
Yeah, well, it was a difficult one because, you know, we had some issues this morning and yesterday with the battery, so we had limited running. My lap was really on the limit, and I had Lucas in the front with 3 wheels because I think he hit the barrier. And well, basically I carried a little bit too much speed. The fact that Lucas was in front of me did not help me a lot with the air, obviously, so I lost the rear and I crashed. It's not much he could have done after seeing the replay, but I think, you know, I drove it the best I could because we knew we were going to struggle in qualifying. So now to finish the race in the points would be awesome.
Was there much damage done to the car, and will it be ready in time?
Yeah, it will be ready. It's fine.
Good luck. Thanks.
Jaime Alguersuari says his second car will be ready in time. Is that how it looked to you, Dario?
I think it'll be ready, but it'll be close. I walked past there a couple of minutes ago and they were still bolting it together. So the Virgin boys are up against it a wee bit, but I'm sure they're up to the task.
So 31 lap race coming up before too long around this street circuit in Putrajaya. It'll last about 45 minutes with a mandatory pit stop where they will have to come in and change cars and then head out onto the circuit once more. But what a beautiful day it is turning into here in Malaysia, and what a busy day as well, with free practice, qualifying and the race all in one day. And there you can see the grid is starting to be cleared, just the crucial personnel being left on there. The racing about to get underway in about 10 minutes time. We will head out and the cars will pull into their grid slots. They're on the dummy grid, the pre-grid at the moment, and then they'll move forward onto the race grid. It's Dragon Racing on pole. The highest Andretti car, to keep up the American support, is in 9th place for Matty Brabham. And we can hear from Michael Andretti now. He is talking to Nicky Shields as he makes his way off the grid.
Michael Andretti, what's the strategy going to be for your team this week? You are obviously at the top of the championship at the moment.
Well, we got to finish in the top. We got to get our cars to finish in the top 10 and get points, and you know, we'll see. I think it's a little bit of a race of survival where we're starting right now, and you know, hopefully the two will get it up there, and you know, we'll see how our strategy works out on how we're going to manage the energy and all that. So it's going to be quite an interesting race. Obviously, if a safety car comes out, it could change everything too. So you know, you just never know.
And in terms of generating enough power from the regen, do you think the difference in the limiting the power is going to make an issue?
Well, yeah, that always comes into it, how you use it, and you know, how much energy you use, when and where. You know, I mean, those are all things that are all in our strategy, and like I said, I think probably the team that does the best job at that is probably the one that's going to win.
Good luck, thank you.
Thank you.
I sometimes wonder if there's any point interviewing Michael Andretti.
Well, he
doesn't give much away.
He used to be a driver, didn't he? That was a perfect driver interview. Basically, I'm not going to tell you what our strategy is. We'll see if it works, and if it does, we'll look clever, and if not, well, there we go. That was a synopsis of it, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Really?
no, very good, very good. So it'll be Oriol Servia starting this race on pole position here in Malaysia, and the fan booster we've already heard will go to Catherine Legge, Bruno Senna, and Nick Heidfeld.
The Servia didn't get out of the car on the grid. It's really hot out there, and he just sat in the car. He's really focused, ready to do the job. But yeah, no getting out of the car, no cooling off, nothing. Ready to do battle.
And how do you think the drivers are feeling about overtaking around here? Do they think it seems reasonably possible? It's quite wide.
It looks pretty good, doesn't it? I think into 1, into 3, definitely. If somebody makes a mistake, which looks so easy to do, into that last corner as well. I think those are the big spots, but again, it's going to the power management where it comes in, where people choose to coast a little bit, all that sort of stuff. If there's any of that going on, is going to make a big difference. But there's at least 3 serious overtaking spots.
The brollies are up, but I think that's because of the sun rather than the rain at the moment. And there we can see Sam Bird, who will be starting in 2nd place on the grid. A good qualifying session for Sam Bird. And earlier on, we caught up with Bruno Senna when he won the fan boost. And he will be starting down in 8th on the grid.
Behind us, and I'm also here with Bruno Senna. You're another winner of the fan boost. Those Brazilian fans have been backing you all the way.
Indeed, yeah. I'm lucky that everybody's behind me. It's really late in Brazil right now, so I hope that people are watching us. But yeah, today we got 2 fan boosts now, and I think it's going to be very important. It's very tough to overtake here, and the cars ahead are quick. So yeah, let's push.
Now, you did actually get voted for the fan boost in the Beijing race, but of course you didn't actually get the opportunity to use it. Hopefully that's going to be different this time?
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I mean, it's, as I said, it's a bit tighter here, but the track seems to be a bit more forgiving on the suspension of the car. So yeah, let's hope everything goes well, and hope I can get to use the fan boost both times and gain some positions with it.
And what are you going to be doing off the start line? Are you worried about not having a formation lap?
No, I think you know, we would do a very slow formation lap anyway. So in the end, it's all about making sure that you get your nose clean between turns 1, 2, and 3, and then from then on, just use a strategy to go forward.
Fantastic. Good luck. All the best. Thanks.
Yes, there won't be a formation lap. The cars will pull forward from the pre-grid onto the race grid, and then the lights will come on, they'll go off, and we'll be racing in Putrajaya, because at the speed at which they went around the formation lap to conserve energy, not only did it take forever, but it also didn't really do anything because they were going so slowly.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of those situations where what the drivers want and what the fans want weren't the same thing. We, you know, the people watching just said, look, it's taking too long. It's not achieving anything. The drivers are saying, oh, we can't quite warm up our brakes and our tyres, but you know, same for everybody, guys. Sorry about that, but that's it. We're going to go straight to the grid, right down to business today.
So there is the fans signing session that was going on earlier today, and it was really very busy down in the E-Village. And there's Matty Brabham behaving himself for a couple of selfies, and it's great to see the excitement that Formula E has caused. Everyone in the hotels is going, oh, good luck for today. Are you part of Formula E? Yeah, good luck for today. So everyone is very excited to see what this Formula E race is going to bring us here in Putrajaya in Malaysia. As we look at the starting grid, we've only got about 4 minutes to go before this race gets underway. 31 laps of action about to come up. Lucas de Grassi, the championship leader, starting all the way down in 18th position on the grid. It's Oriol Servia there on the right-hand side, who's going to be starting on pole position ahead of Sam Bird. It's the second round of the FIA Formula E Championship here in Putrajaya, Malaysia. We took off some 2 months ago in Beijing, and I don't think anyone could have predicted the excitement and the drama that would have unfolded around the streets of China's capital. But now it's the turn of Malaysia. The city of Putrajaya, some 30 kilometers south of Kuala Lumpur, and this is where the venue will be for this second round of the championship. My name is Jack Nichols. We've got Nicky Shields down in the pits and Dario Franchitti alongside me in the commentary box. It's going to be very, very warm for the drivers, but they tend to be saying it's not going to be too much of a problem for them. But let's have a look at the grid. And on pole position on the right-hand side there is Oriol Servia for the Dragon Racing team. Over on the left-hand side is going to be Sam Bird for the Virgin team. And it really was a strong performance from Oriol Servia to take that pole position away. There is Sam Bird then, second place for the Virgin squad. Third on the grid, Daniel Abt. I don't know how he managed to qualify third, because he clouted the wall on his way out of the pits, managed to drive around the circuit with a crabbing car and still managed to qualify in third place. Jarno Trulli starts in fourth position. He was at the back of the grid in Beijing, so things looking a lot better for the 2004 Monaco Grand Prix race winner here. Karun Chandhok will start in fifth position. In sixth place will be Nelson Piquet Jr., the Brazilian, hoping to pick up some more points to add to those. Nick Heidfeld has the fan boost after the Justice for Nick campaign, after he was probably taken out of a race victory in Beijing. Bruno Senna, another man with fan boost, will start in 8th position in the second Mahindra car. 9th is the first of the Andretti cars. Matty Brabham making his Formula E racing debut. He has tested the car previously though. Antonio Felix da Costa, another man making his debut. He's in 10th place for Amlin Aguri. 11th place on the grid, Nico Frost. He set the fastest time in qualifying, but a 10th place grid penalty after the crash in Beijing means he starts in 11th place. Stefan Sarazan, an incredibly versatile driver, starts 12th for Venturi. 13th on the grid will be Frank Montani in the second of the Andretti cars. 14th on the grid, Michaela Ceruti. After she lost a wheel in qualifying, she has to start a long way down the order. Ho Pin Tung will start in 15th place for the Team China squad. 16th place with fan boost will be Catherine Legg. She hit the wall in qualifying, and she's not in a very small group, because Jaime Alguersuari also hit the wall, so he'll start in 17th place. 18th on the grid will be Lucas de Grassi. Guess what? He hit the wall. And in 19th place will be Sebastian Buemi. He couldn't get a lap together. And in 20th place will be Jerome D'Ambrosio, who qualified third quickest, but he used too much power in that qualifying session, and he's been penalised by being sent to the back of the grid. And what a lovely lineup it's going to be. So, the green flag will go at the front of the field. The cars will pull forward to their main grid slot. Oriol Servia will line up. This is essentially the formation lap. They pull forward 3 slots, and that means that they will be ready to go racing here in Putrajaya.
So if you manage to warm your brakes up in those sort of 50 yards, then you're good to go. But now the start procedure is going to be as normal, and we're going to watch them try and attempt to funnel down into turn 1 and 2 chicane. Good news is lots of runoff. There's lots of escape routes, which people were using a lot in practice. So a couple of options there if it gets a bit blocked up in the first corner.
So we're getting ready for the lights here in Putrajaya. It's Oriol Servia on the right-hand side in the Dragon car on pole position. It's Sam Bird alongside him on the front row of the grid. Daniel Abt and Jarno Trulli are on row 2, with Karun Chandhok and Nelson Piquet Jr. on row 3. The cars are all in position, and now we just wait for the red lights. Here they come. 31 laps of racing coming up. The 5 red lights are on, and we go green in Malaysia, and it's a good start from Servia. It's a good start from Chandhok. It's a bad start from Daniel Abt. The Abt car sliding backwards through the field. Everyone's avoided him. Here's Sam Bird going for the lead of the race. Almost a touch between them, but Servia holds on. Trulli's up into third place then. Fourth is Nelson Piquet Jr. Fifth is Nick Heidfeld. A few cars cutting across the chicane, but what a terrible start that is for Daniel Abt. Look like he's got going again now, but all the way from third on the grid right to the back of the pack. Side-by-side action here as Stefan Sarazan attacks up the inside of Antonio Felix da Costa, and he goes through. Everyone else filtering through down at turn 3. Frank Montani going on the attack, as is Nico Frost there trying to get past da Costa. That looks like it's going to be a tight one, but it is a good start from Oriol Servia as he holds the lead of the race. Here comes Montani. That's contact surely. Yes, it is.
Multiple contact there. They were being so respectful up. They managed to, turn 5 there before there was some contact. Everybody was playing nicely, but yeah, it wasn't going to last, was it?
Doesn't look like there's too much damage on the front of Montagni's car as they now drop down through the right-hander of turn 7, then into the double lefts at turn 8 and 9. There's Nelson Piquet Jr., but it's Oriol Servia leading the way, and that's a spin for Catherine Legge. It looks like she's had contact, certainly with something, perhaps with someone. We'll have to wait and see.
Front wing's gone, yep.
And she knows that she's retiring that car immediately, and that facing the wrong way is Matty Brabham down at the hairpin. Hopefully everyone's going to avoid him as well. Yellow flags are out down there, and everyone does just about squeeze through, and hopefully Brabham can get going again. But
looks like he's stuck there.
Across the line they come at the end of lap 1. Servia leads, Sam Bird second, Jarno Trulli in third, and in fourth place is going to be Karun Chandok. Safety car has been deployed. Meanwhile, Catherine Legge has got going again, but the safety car is out. Presumably there's some debris on the circuit, and let's see if we can see what happened. Now here is the car, and it's, oh, she's gone to get past Cerruti and lost the back end as they come down into 7, and unfortunately
that wasn't really on.
No.
Unfortunately, just locked the rears. That's the problem at the start of the race with because the regen is not sure exactly how much you're going to get, so you've got to kind of play it by ear and adjust the brake balance, and obviously just caught Catherine out a little bit there, and there's the result.
And Michaela Cerruti, the innocent party in all of that, unfortunately. And this is what happened to Matty Brabham. He goes down the inside of Bruno Senna, whoa, and he hits, I think, Nick Heidfeld as well,
yeah,
going into the hairpin. And again, that looked like a braking issue.
It looked like he didn't press it.
But he's still going, at least, Matty Brabham. But the Qualcomm safety car has been deployed here in Putrajaya. Presumably there is Catherine Legge's front wing on circuit, and that's the main concern for the race directors. Also, actually, I wonder if Michaela Cerruti is still going. No, she's come into the pits, Michaela Cerruti. There is the debris being recovered, so we may just have one lap of safety car action, because there's a bit of memorabilia. But there are our top 3 then, and Sam Bird almost got a look in at the start there, didn't he?
He thought about it, didn't he? And then he kind of backed off a little bit, and just a little bit of discretion there for the start. Sam's going to be feeling pretty good about it. His pace has been good in sort of race running as well, so I think he's probably going to be ready to pounce, and Oriol better be on his toes coming this restart.
So the cars making their way around behind the Qualcomm safety car. Oriol Servia holds the lead of the race. Jerome D'Ambrosio still at the back there. The safety car has actually picked up Matty Brabham, and this is the onboard from the safety car. It's actually picked up Matty Brabham, so that's
about half a lap
ideal.
Out then. Yeah, not perfect. You know, going back to the regen for a minute, once you get from 100% of usable power down to 80%, that's when it starts to sort of stabilize, and you can have a fairly consistent idea of what it's going to do. Before that, it's very much a moving target for the drivers, and they're adjusting the brake balance, trying to figure that out. So it's going to catch some people out, definitely.
So the big loser in all of that, obviously, was Daniel Abt, who went from 3rd down to 16th position. Cars 7, 8 and 11 are all under investigation, which is D'Ambrosio, Prost and Lucas de Grassi, and they all started down at the back of the field, so I wonder if that could potentially be been because of a jump start, but we'll wait and see what the stewards decide to inform us of as the cars make their way down towards the first corner once again, waiting to be picked up by the safety car. But it looked as though the debris has all been cleared, so we should be able to get going again pretty soon.
Hopefully safety car in this lap, that would be nice. Get going.
31 laps of racing. We've now completed 2 of them, so we've got 31 laps to go. Oriol Servia at the front of the pack, not really sure what he ought to be doing, because the safety car's been deployed, and now it looks like the safety car is waiting for the gang to pick them up and then probably pull them right back in to the pit lane. So let's have a little bit of a look back at the start of the race. So here we go again. Watch Daniel Abt here, and he just gets away, and then it just dies on him.
Yep. Good start from Servia. Good start from Sam Bird too.
Let's see Sam Bird start in the purple and red Virgin on the left-hand side. He was behind Servia, but then got a really good run down to turn 1 and thought about having a look, but Servia squeezed him out and said, no way, are you coming through there? De Costa made a reasonably good start. He almost had to go stationary in the middle of the pack there.
Yeah, it all checked up. Luckily nobody lost their front wing, because that's the typical situation.
De Grassi, I reckon, might be in trouble for cutting the chicane. He's in that car right on the far right-hand side. You watch him come through here. He'll just skip across the chicane, and, well, we just go out of shot, but as did Nico Prost, so I think that's what they're under investigation for. And then the run down towards turn 3, that's where we saw a bit of action with Antonio Felix da Costa.
Was that Prost or was that Buemi?
Well, Prost is the one under investigation. This is the view on board from Daniel Abt as everyone cruises past him. Well, mind it, Jaime. And then he does manage to get up to speed again and get going. So a bit of a strange one there for Daniel Abt, and a real shame because he finished on the podium. Well, he finished in the top 3 on the track in Beijing, but was then demoted for a power infringement. So things don't really look like they're going his way. So there is the safety car. It has picked up the field. And there you can see the gaps, and there you can see the battery percentage, and that is the usable power remaining. Sam Bird 91%, 92%, all in that sort of region. I think the Oriol Servia one might have a bit of a glitch because it says he has 100% battery.
Either that or he's looking good.
Yeah, exactly, but they're all at a sort of similar 91, 90%, and that's of usable energy because there is a 28 kilowatt limit for the race. So, and the batteries can do more than that, but there is a limitation so that we don't have the cars essentially running out of battery and coming to a standstill on the circuit.
Very sensible that you don't want that. You don't want the car in front of you completely losing power. Tends to send car airborne. So yeah, hopefully behind the safety car. Obviously there was a bit of a mistake there made by the officials. So it'll be good to get back racing here in a second.
Yeah, hopefully the safety car will be coming in this lap. But the other thing you see that we'll see is the safety cars, you know, cruising around, and the cars behind are going, oh, I'd rather go a bit slower here and conserve some of my battery.
Yeah, you're going to do the minimum. You last half a lap, you'll probably get some heat in the tyres and the brakes. Up until that point, you're going to be using the absolute minimum. That is the same whether you're driving an Indy car, Formula 1 car, WEC car, and of course certainly a Formula E car. You're going to use absolute minimum when you have to. That way you can conserve as much as possible for when it counts.
There's the drop down towards turn 4. There's a big gap between Sam Bird in second place and Jarno Trulli in third place. And there are certain rules that you have to be a certain amount of distance behind the car in front of you under the safety car. So Trulli might just be careful about that. Good to see the circuit lined with spectators there down at the run towards turns 5 and 6. Then the circuit kinks to the left, around towards the right-hander of turn 7 under the trees. It's sort of got a bit of an Albert Park feel to it, hasn't it, when you look at it like this as it turns right?
It does a bit, doesn't it? It's a cracking location for a race. It really is. Obviously the architecture, all that stuff, the layout as well of the track has been so well done. Really setting the standard so far.
Safety car will be in this lap then. Will Sam Bird fancy an attack? Oriol Servia is the man leading the way. Jarno Trulli in third place, then Karun Chandok in fourth. And when will Servia decide to drop it? That's going to be the big question. Sam Bird is going to try and stick with him. And there goes Servia now on the power.
He's gone. Sam's right with him.
He certainly is as they come across the safety car line. We go green once again in Malaysia as they come out onto the start-finish straight. We're on board with Sam Bird, right up behind the race leader Oriol Servia as they come down towards turn 1. Servia knows it.
He makes the move to the inside.
Servia goes defensive. And does he get the car stopped? Yes, he does, but Bird might have a good run here down towards turn 3.
Yeah, Sam Bird, much better exit.
He took a lot more speed in because he could take the wider line in. Surely he won't be able to go around the outside of turn 3, though. Servia will just park the car on the apex. And, oh, has he gone in too deep there? Bird gets the cutback. Great move from Bird, and he's got the inside line, and he's into the lead of the race. Brilliant move from Sam Bird. So, Bird leads. Servia drops down to second. Third for Jarno Trulli still. Haven't seen any other changes in the order in all of that, but Oriol Servia will be a bit frustrated with himself, I think.
That wee bit, but classic cutback from Sam Bird. Absolutely textbook move there. And Oriol is an experienced, really good driver, so full marks to Sam for taking advantage there.
Down into turn 7. Jarno Trulli is sticking with them at the moment. Then it's Chandok in 4th place. 5th is Nelson Piquet Jr. 6th is Nick Heidfeld. 7th is Senna. 8th is Montani. 9th is Sarrazin. 10th there is Felix da Costa. Then it's Prost. Then it's De Grassi. And so those two have De Grassi actually up to 12th place. So that's good news from him. That's Bruno Senna and battling out with Frank Montani. And he's staying in front of Montani there. But look at the cars bouncing here.
Absolutely, it's a very bumpy part of the track. Truly looked like he's getting really close to Servia. In fact, might have just gone down the inside there of him.
I think you're right.
Yeah, braking for last corner, very, very tough.
So out they come onto the start-finish straight. And have we had the change for second position? Yes, we have. Jarno Trulli has got past. So good move from Trulli. That must have been going into the final corner. Piquet's all sorts of crossed up. Just about getting
well
stopped.
held. Absolutely well held. Let's see now if Trulli can catch can catch up here with Sam Bird, or are we going to have a snake of cars running behind him trying to find a way past?
A trolley train? Surely you're not suggesting a trolley train or
we haven't seen one for a while.
No, exactly. It'll be the trolley E-train, perhaps, as they come down towards the right-hander of turn 4 now. So Sam Bird takes the lead and is now 2.5 seconds clear of Jarno Trulli in second place. So that's really impressive. It looked as though Trulli got past at the final corner, and now we'll see what happens behind with Karun Chandhok looking racy.
I think what Sam's going to do here is manage the gap. He doesn't need to get too far out ahead because he'll use extra energy to make that happen. Then a safety car comes out and it's all negated. So he's got to manage it. And there's definitely a sweet spot there. But yeah, Sam will be learning, you know, as it goes. But look how bumpy the place is. Really bumpy old track here. And getting pretty close in the hairpin.
Yep, I think this is on board with Nick Heidfeld. So as they come up towards the final corner, so does that mean that Chandhok has got past as they come into the right-hander and out onto the start-finish straight again?
You look how hard they're working in the corners. And Heidfeld's using fan boost.
Okay, so Nick Heidfeld decides to use his fan boost.
But it's not actually... he hasn't made much ground. I was expecting... Oh, Senna's just locked up into the first corner.
Yeah, so they fly through the left-hander. And I think that might have been Sarrazin we were on board with, actually, because he was right up behind Bruno Senna. So that was Stefan Sarrazin in the other Venturi that we were on board with, because he was behind Bruno Senna at the time.
I think we're going to have to mandate teammates different coloured helmets.
Yeah, exactly. So through the right-hander they come at turn 4.
Look at the torque turning the car sideways there with the instant torque of the electric motors. They are working ever so hard, trying to keep that momentum up through the corners, gain any little advantage that they can.
So there we can see battles going on. Everyone else's battery is correct, but obviously Oriol Servia doesn't have 100% battery. Piquet Jr. and Heidfeld have both got 73%, so they're looking in quite a good situation at the moment. We go on board with Bruno Senna. He is chasing down the man in front, and that man is Matty Brabham.
Look at that whole turn of lock in that hairpin there. So difficult to take your hands off the wheel like that, and especially when the car kicks sideways on the way out.
And he's running at 150 kilowatts at the moment, or just below it actually, as he comes into the final corner, just struggling to get the, well, not struggling to get the back end into the corner. It was a bit too difficult to get it turned in as Senna comes across the line then to complete lap 7. Here's the look from Chandhok. He goes past Oriol Servia, coming down into the chicane, and now Nelson Piquet Jr. is going to try and go through as well as they come down towards turn number 3. Servia will have the inside line though, but we've seen that before.
Let's see if he manages the cutback. No, not quite as good there.
But Heidfeld is pushing hard, and Heidfeld might be able to take advantage of that past Nelson Piquet Jr. Not quite close enough. Montani chasing in as well. This is brilliant racing, isn't it? They're absolutely nose to tail.
One tiny mistake there and you're losing 2 places. It's, oh, Frank and the inside again. He did the same earlier, didn't he?
And they've made contact this time, and Heidfeld's out. Surely that has broken Heidfeld's steering.
Frank just marked it.
And that could be the end of the race for Nick Heidfeld. Certainly looks like it, as he is parked in the barrier down there. So Frank Montani went to the inside line. It seemed to be a sort of clean move until the end of it.
It was very aggressive, wasn't it? It's such a tight corner, that, with a bump in the middle too, and it just obviously caught Frank out, overcommitted, and unfortunately Heidfeld was the innocent party. Yeah, again, he's going to be getting a bit fed up with that, I would say. Look how bumpy it is there.
Yeah, this is on board with Nelson Piquet Jr., who's in 5th place at the moment, up behind Oriol Servia. So it was Nelson Piquet Jr.'s onboard camera we were on earlier as we were chasing down Karun Chandhok, and now he's chasing down Oriol Servia down towards turn 1. Is he going to be close enough for a look? Not quite. Feints towards the inside line, but isn't doing anything about it. And part of me wonders if Servia, we're getting battery saying that and the safety car is deployed again for that accident for Nick Heidfeld, and that 3.8 second lead for Sam Bird all of a sudden turns into wasted energy.
Yeah, it's just gone, and that's the frustrating thing. You've got, do you try and hope there's not going to be a safety car, or?
Oh, that's ambitious there, and the safety car has been deployed, but Bruno Senna and Frank Montani both go past Nelson Piquet Jr. and there we go. Senna lifts up his hand. Senna lifts up his hand. He said, "Yeah, sorry, that was my bad."
Oh crikey! Yeah, hopefully the FIA have seen it that way too. That was just, I think, maybe a bit of the competitive juices were flowing there a little bit. But yeah, Sam's lead has gone. unfortunately, and that's the tightrope that you walk all the time, especially in modern racing with safety cars coming up all the time. He's definitely got the pace though. He's got the fastest lap of the race so far. He was 3/10 quicker on that last lap, and he's going to be feeling fairly relaxed if he can get away on this restart. He made a great restart last time.
So the safety car is deployed again, and just to go back to the one thing I was about to say, Oriol Servia does seem to be struggling with pace all of a sudden in the race, but we're getting fed that he has 100% usable power remaining, and that comes direct from the telemetry on the car. So potentially the team are receiving that information as well and are having to sort of hedge their bets and just play it safe.
Exactly right. If that is the situation, it's like not having a fuel gauge.
Yeah.
That's what they're going through right now, and they're sitting there, don't know what the usable power left is. They've got to be conservative. Hopefully it'll fix itself when he gets into the second car.
So here comes Montani up on the inside of Heidfeld, not quite close enough to make a move, and then shoves him.
Just hooked wheels, didn't he? That's the kind of moves that Frank was making in China, and it was great. He just maybe overextended there just a little bit. Look, just hit the curb, and unfortunately pushed Heidfeld into the wall.
Yeah, and that allowed Bruno Senna to get past, in fact, as well. So Sam Bird is leading, Jarno Trulli is in second place, Karun Chandok is in third, Oriol Servia is in fourth, Nelson Piquet Jr. fifth, sixth for Bruno Senna, seventh for Frank Montani, Sarazan da Costa and Nico Prost completing the top 10, with Daniel Abt has come into the pits, actually. So Daniel Abt into the pits, maybe that's a tactical move behind the safety car.
Bit early, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bit early for that. His qualifying was so impressive, though, to qualify right up there in that car that was clearly crabbing, and he damaged it. He did a wonderful job in qualifying there.
So Sam Bird, despite having pulled out that advantage, has about 3% more usable energy than Jarno Trulli behind him. And Nelson Piquet Jr. has 60%, so that's a good job. In comes Daniel Abt then, and
wait, he's swapping cars.
He has swapped cars over, and so maybe it was a tactical decision, or maybe he's still got problems with that first car.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, really. Going back to Sam Bird for a second, he's got a technique. He carries a massive amount of speed through the corner, and I think it's really suiting these Formula E cars. His momentum that he's able to carry. Sometimes he overcooks the entry a little bit, but generally he's able to carry a load of speed through the middle, and that is definitely helping him.
Just wonder if it's a tall order for the Abt team, but if he now joins at the back of the pack, and everyone else has to do a pit stop, which takes them 73 seconds from pit in to pit out, and he's just at the back of the track, having not lost much track position. There's a potential, and there's Michela Ceruti, the race over for her. There is a potential it might just work out for Daniel Abt, but
he's got
it's a long shot.
21 laps. Okay, call it 20 maybe.
Yeah. It's true.
Bloody impressive if he manages it.
We'll see what happens, but there's the race over then for Michela Ceruti, unfortunately for her.
Drivers were talking a lot on the grid about temperatures of the batteries, and there was a little concern about that still, even with the reduced regeneration. Everybody's a little concerned about it, and this is probably the hottest race we're going to see, isn't it? It is very, very hot, ambient, and obviously track temp out there, so we'll see if that becomes an issue.
So we can have a look now at Nick Heidfeld's accident. Here he comes towards the left-hander of turn 5, and there's Montani up the inside, and then boom.
You can see the impact, can't you, with Frank there, unfortunately. Frank was trying to be very opportunist, wasn't he? And it just,
So the field out behind the Qualcomm safety car once more here in Putrajaya. We've had Nick Heidfeld retire. Michela Ceruti is out of the race, as I think is Catherine Legg, although she's still running, isn't she? Yes, so we've still got 18 of our 20 runners going.
Buemi's made no progress at all, and he's down the lap.
Yeah, what's going on there with Sebastian Buemi? We'll keep an eye out for that one. Yeah, so he's a lap down for some reason, along with Catherine Legg, and we know why Legg's a lap down, because she, well, there's the damage to Frank Montani's car. You can see Legg's a lap down because she had a spin and had to pit for a new front wing. So I wonder what has happened to Sebastian Buemi. Perhaps that's something Nicky can go and investigate for us down in the pits. But we're on a lap 11 of 31 here in the Malaysian E-Prix. The safety car will be coming in this lap, says race control. So we'll be getting racing back underway here in Putrajaya. And what is Jarno Trulli going to do here? Is he going to close right in on the back of Sam Bird? Karun Chandok also is going to be looking racy, there's no doubt about that. Bruno Senna has done a good job to be running in 6th position. He started in 8th place, so he's made up a couple of positions. But now it's all about Sam Bird, and when he decides to floor the throttle...
Here he goes, he's off.
Wow, that's a great restart from Sam Bird. Some of the cars only coming around the hairpin, but Sam Bird is on his way.
Hopefully that was in the zone, because that was absolutely perfect.
So Sam Bird with a massive lead as we get racing back underway here in Putrajaya. Jarno Trulli is coming under a lot of pressure now from Karun Chandok as we come over the line to start lap 12 of 31.
Karun has not been scared to be aggressive. If he gets close enough, look out for a big old move there.
Down into the first corner, not quite close enough this time around. Just 0.3 of a second between them. But Sam Bird had a 2.5 second margin as they crossed the line. He absolutely nailed that restart.
That was a belter, wasn't it? It was great for him, not quite so good for Trulli.
Oriol Servia there in the black and silver Dragon car. We go on board with Nelson Piquet Jr. behind him, looking to the inside line, down into the right-hander of 4.
Servia's struggling, isn't he? It's just not right. You see him being defensive there into 7. Yeah, something not quite right at all.
Lap 12 of 31.
The quick way looks using a lot of curb, and some cars are clearly able to use more curb than others without the car bouncing off the track a little bit. And Sam Bird on the track walk yesterday was talking about monstering the curbs, I think was the expression he used, and it's clearly working quite nicely. 3.2 seconds ahead right now.
Wow, it's a really impressive margin from Sam Bird as they flash through the left-hander and down towards the hairpin once more, and there's Nelson Piquet Jr. in a big moment of sideways action. Just about keeps it together. Montani's in the wars again. His front wing's gone. Bruno Senna says, what was that? And it all kicked off because Nelson Piquet Jr. lost the back end of the car as they now come around the final corner.
We've got Sam Bird well ahead, and then everybody else within spitting distance of each other.
Exactly. Oh, and that's a big moment on the exit there, and didn't quite catch who that was coming out of the final corner. And into the pits has come Frank Montani. It was the Venturi car of Stefan Sarazan that was going sideways out of the final corner. A look from Antonio Felix da Costa, but he's not quite close enough in the battle over 7th place.
Got a lovely exit there, so look for a bit of a move here coming down to turn 3.
And they need to be careful because de Grassi's right behind. Da Costa tries to sell about 20 dummies coming into turn 3. Oh, Nico Prost almost went into the back of de Grassi. That could give his teammates an opportunity. There's a spin in the background meanwhile for Ho Pin Tung. It's all kicking off here in Malaysia. There he goes, he's got going again, and he's dropped behind Daniel Abt now. We're only on lap 13 out of 31.
De Grassi up to P9.
Yep, very good run from him. He started in 18th position. There is the pit stop for the Andretti squad. Frank Montani second in... that's the spirit, just get the boot in. Go on, lads, you can do it.
You know how much those cost.
Second in Beijing, but it's not going to be a strong result here in Putrajaya. And Aguri Suzuki enjoyed that.
If he can stay on the lead lap, though, we have another safety car. He's not out of it, but that's the trick, staying on the lead lap right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sam Bird continues to lead the way. 5.5 seconds clear up at the front. He's absolutely flying, Sam Bird. Really impressive performance from the Virgin car. And Senna is deploying his fan boost now then, and he is running in 6th place just behind Nelson Piquet Jr. And you can see the fan boost in action as Senna pulls alongside down towards turn number 1. Montani's coming out on the inside line. A front right lockup from Senna. Can't quite get the job done.
Yeah, I think, a little bit sideways, hit the wall.
He's hit the wall, yep. You can see the steering immediately changes. Bruno Senna having to turn to the right. So that fan boost, unfortunately, guys, worked out badly for him because it's pushed him into the wall.
I wonder if that was the extra torque, just of the extra power. That car is fairly badly damaged there. And that'll be, yeah, he's going to be in trouble, isn't he?
Yeah, so he might be able to keep going, but I think that would be ambitious to drive this for another 18 laps or so.
Montani was coming out of the pits just as he was setting up, as Senna was setting up that move. I wonder if that caused some of the issue.
But it was good to see that, and there is Heidfeld out of the race, but it's been great to see the fan boost in action. And but Nick Heidfeld won't be using the fan boost in action, and 2 gutting races now for Nick Heidfeld.
It's just not gone his way, has it, at all? The pace has been there. The pace has really been there, and it just hasn't worked out.
So Sam Bird continues to lap 1.4 seconds quicker than the rest of the pack. How?
I mean, he's carrying good momentum. He's got the car set up well. He's driving it well. But the last lap before that, he was 2.5 seconds quicker. I don't know if he's found a shortcut.
Yeah, maybe he's going straight on at turn 1 or something, but there he is, and there's the rest of the pack. We haven't seen this sort of domination. It's absolutely incredible as Jarno Trulli comes across the line, now 7 seconds behind Sam Bird. And Trulli, you can see, is using a lot of energy. He's got only 28% of remaining energy available, but because of these 2 safety cars, they will be able to go longer into the race in these cars running on these batteries.
Yeah, certainly now with no warm-up laps, certainly more than 50% through the race. But Servia's looking a lot more competitive, isn't he? He's right there now, as opposed to, I don't think they managed to reset something in that second safety car period, but he's looking a bit better. Senna's still hanging on. He's still hanging on to the end of that group with a bent-up car.
Yeah, absolutely. Jarno Trulli really clouting the curves on the inside line there at turn 5. Now exiting through turn 6, we go on board with Oriol Servia, the experienced Spaniard, 40 years old, one of the oldest men in the field, him and Jarno Trulli, and they're running in 2nd and 4th positions. So there's something to be said for experience in Formula E, although Sam Bird, the youngster from Roehampton, well, I say youngster, he's 27, he's not the youngest guy we've got out there. That's a bit of a mistake there from Chandok, but no real room for Servia to get past.
I think that's where you see the experience and the patience of Servia. That is so difficult with one of these cars when you've got to do more than half a turn a log. It makes it very, very difficult, and not something a lot of the guys are used to. Normally, half a turn is the maximum you'll ever do. Even at somewhere like Long Beach, you just speed up the ratio of the steering lag.
So across the line has come Sam Bird quite a long time ago. He continues to lead for Virgin, 7.4 seconds clear of the 2nd place man, Jarno Trulli, who's then just under a second clear. And then we've got Frank Montani at the back of this pack, but he is classified down in 17th place at the moment. There you can see the steering on Bruno Senna's car. He's having to turn to the right in the straight lines because of where he hit the wall a few laps ago.
That's a third of a turn a lock there. That's a hard thing to do because you've got your reference is your top of your steering wheel. It's completely messing him up there.
It'll make the hairpin easier though, won't it?
It will make the hairpin. Well, actually worse.
Oh,
because he's already right hand down.
Oh, okay,
He's going to have to do a turn in plus. So, yeah, very impressive the fact he's hanging on.
So the incidents involving Nick Heidfeld and Frank Montani is under investigation, as is the incident between Catherine Legge and Michaela Cerruti, unsurprisingly. But Sam Bird is the man leading this race, and an absolutely superb drive from the young Englishman who was the Mercedes F1 development driver for the past couple of seasons, and we're seeing the rewards that they're reaping in Formula 1, and Sam Bird is reaping rewards here in Formula E as he comes through the final corner to complete his 16th lap of racing.
Isn't it always the way? When you're that dominant, you make it look easy. It doesn't look like he's pushing it, but he is. He's just nailing it in the right way, accelerating at the right point. Very, very smooth style from Sam Bird. The other guys have got a heck of a fight on their hands though, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. It's brilliant stuff from second downwards, really, as we go on board with Bruno Senna, who's right up behind Nelson Piquet Jr. Senna seems to have got around the issues that he's facing and is feinting towards the inside line, but not quite close enough to get past the Brazilian just yet.
The turn 1 camera is right in the middle of the braking zone. So you're actually seeing, it looks like it's a fair ways from the corner. It's actually in the middle of the braking zone. So that's the critical point. And as you can't see the apex until you're upon it, very, very easy to lock up.
Through the left-hander they come as they wind their way around Putrajaya. The next race will be in Uruguay at the start of December, around the streets of Punta del Este, but right now we're in Malaysia as we go on board with Senna then, and we can look at him looking towards the inside line. He's only got 19% of usable power remaining, so in the next couple of laps Senna will be coming in. What's he running to? He's just running to about 140 kilowatts at the moment. 150 is the maximum in race trim, and there's Matty Brabham, who seemed to have had a drama. Maybe he's just found reverse or something like that. He's very frustrated.
He hasn't hit anything.
And maybe he's gone in straight into the barrier. We'll have to wait and see. And who's that off to the right hand side? Oh no, it's just they're coming in the pits. That's what it was. I thought Senna had gone off, but actually everyone was coming into the pits. So Trulli's in, Chandok's in, Servia's in, Piquet Jr. is in. So Sam Bird has stayed out, as has Bruno Senna. So they're the men to watch out for.
Now let's see if anybody does what happened last time and jumps a few cars. It's about the minimum speed in pit lane, as much as because there's a minimum time you're allowed to have. And I think we'll see that strategy, and you've got to 1 kilometre an hour above it, or a fraction if you can be that accurate. Heidfeld nailed it in China.
So there is Antonio Felix da Costa, who's come in. He was running down in 10th position.
So Sam Bird has stayed out there, which is equally impressive considering his pace. You can see the two e.dams guys out there as well. It's only that middle pack, and they all seem to have almost responded to one another coming into the pits. And there is Sam Bird leading the way for the Virgin Racing squad.
Buemi's on the lead lap, so maybe that was a timing and scoring glitch earlier.
Okay, potentially, yeah. So he's right up behind Nico Prost, but there's some 14 seconds behind, and there's Matti Brabham and Bruno Senna, who have come together by the looks of things, or they've certainly both gone off at the same corner. And Matti Brabham, we just saw him recovering from an incident, so Senna stayed out, but that's not really going to help him at all. So it's only Sam Bird that has stayed out longer, and he's still going.
It's such an impressive performance. Can't say enough about what he's doing here.
So we need to now find out how the order in which people have come out of the pits. There's Serbia coming out well ahead of Karun Chandok. So there is Karun Chandok coming out. So let's just try and figure out the order as they come out of the pits.
If there's a safety car, Sam Bird's going to have most of the field a lap down.
Yeah, that's very true. So there is Oriol Serbia then. When they came in, it was Trulli, Chandok, Serbia and Piquet. There you can see that there's 7% left in Sam Bird's car, so they obviously reckon they can get around and into the pits before they run out of their usable energy. Sebastian Buemi's in the pits. There's Lucas de Grassi changing over as well. So we're getting very busy now in the pit lane. But Sam Bird continues to lead. In comes Matti Brabham.
This is where the problems happen. Guys are exiting the garages, other cars are coming in. You can get caught up in somebody else's accident really, really quickly here.
That is Nico Prost in the pits. That is Lucas de Grassi. But Sam Bird is still out in the lead of this race. Coming towards the end of the lap now. Just a couple of corners to go. Through the hairpin at turn 10.
I think we'll have him in this lap, don't you?
Yeah, it must be 4%. So they've pushed it right to the limit.
Look at the size
and have managed to get it off.
Look
and
at
it's
the size
3%
of the bumps
now.
coming in there. Look at this, massively difficult to even get into pit lane with the size of the bumps.
So, good stuff from Sam Bird then and the Virgin team. They have judged that perfectly. Now here's the battle. Now this is Nelson Piquet Jr. coming out just behind Lucas de Grassi. So de Grassi has made up a couple of places there. We're still looking to see where everyone else in the pack has come out as well. Daniel Abt is now potentially in second position, but will he be able to make his engine last for the remainder of the race? Sebastian Buemi's going past his teammate Nico Prost.
Bit of mistake
going down into turn 3.
Yeah, locked up the fronts.
Yep, so Buemi goes through, and there is Sam Bird then in the pits, and he's only going to have to do 13 laps on this with this car, and he's already done 18, so he should be able to turn it up a bit as well.
Precisely, and he's going to have something in hand now in case of a safety car, in case his lead comes down, and that is the strategy you want. If you've got that much of an advantage, keep your powder dry, keep it ready for when it's if you need that extra speed later on.
So this is Nelson Piquet Jr. chasing down Lucas de Grassi. De Grassi is currently showing as in 4th place, which is quite possible really if the Abt team did a good job in the pits, because that would make sense because they're ahead of Karun Chandok, who's down in 10th place. So Chandok's the big loser really from all of this. He appears to have gone from 3rd to 10th at the moment. Here comes Sam Bird out of the pits and in theory back into the lead of the race. Daniel Abt is still out there, but he's only got 50% of his usable power remaining.
I don't see any way you can do it, do you?
Down they come then. Trulli in 2nd place. 3rd is Lucas de Grassi then. And then we've got 4th place for Nelson Piquet Jr. with the e.dams cars right up behind him. So what happened to Karun Chandok? That's the big question. And because he went into the pits right behind Jarno Trulli, in front of Oriol Serbia and Nelson Piquet, but he's now running well down the order behind his teammate. We go on board then with Sebastian Buemi. Lucas de Grassi's just set the fastest first sector of anyone in what is a net 3rd position. Still think Jarno Trulli is running in 2nd place, but he's only just in front of Lucas de Grassi. There you can see then Daniel Abt leads the way, but he's already changed onto his 2nd car, so he's only got 49% remaining in his available power. Sam Bird essentially then leads the E-Prix unless Daniel Abt can do something magical, but I can't see how he could. We're hearing there's a bit of rain coming in the pit lane as well, but there's Sam Bird.
Definitely on the in-car there, rain on the in-car. But the good news is we're not going to have to stop to change tyres with the Michelins.
Exactly. So that is the good news. If the rain does start to fall, these tyres can work in wet and dry conditions. They can't work in full-on monsoon conditions that is always a danger here in Malaysia. But nevertheless, out onto the start-finish straight comes Jarno Trulli. This is the battle then for a net second position as they come down towards the first chicane. Lucas de Grassi pushing hard, as we say. Daniel Abt is leading at the moment, but he changed into his second car a long, long time ago, and he's only got 46% of usable power remaining, which will surely not last him 11 laps. So this is the net battle for second position.
Sam Bird's advantage in usable power is massive.
Yeah.
You know, the problem here is going to be if it rains, there's a lot of lines in the street. They're not FIA paint. It's going to be unbelievably slippery out there. And then if we get the monsoon rain, look out, then we might have some issues with the aquaplaning and that kind of stuff. But this is a heck of a battle. Look, we have got a Trulli train.
Yeah, exactly.
We have got a Trulli train here. And I'll be watching out for de Grassi here for a big move. He's made lots of progress up the grid, and he won't want it to stop now.
Yeah, started this race in 18th position, and now he's looking at getting second place. Lucas de Grassi, really strong performance from the Brazilian. Also from this man, Sebastian Buemi. He started in 19th place, and he's running well as well. And Jarno Trulli's been given a drive-through penalty for an energy infringement. It won't tell us exactly what, but Jarno Trulli, who's currently at the head of this train, has been handed a drive-through penalty. So that means Lucas de Grassi will be moving through past Trulli and up into second place. But will he know that? And also, can he afford to not pass Jarno Trulli, because he's got Nelson Piquet Jr. right up behind him as they come across the line?
Yeah, Piquet got a cracking run out of the last corner.
And here's the look from Nelson Piquet Jr. down into turn one, and Piquet Jr. goes through. Good move from Nelson Piquet, and he is passed. Also a drive-through penalty for car 27, which is Frank Montani, as if his day couldn't get any worse. Speeding in the pit lane, unfortunately for him, but he's running down in 17th place anyway at the moment. Through the right-hander they come.
Look at the momentum. When somebody's momentum is broken, the next car in the line is all over them as well. You've got to keep that momentum going, and it just takes the smallest mistake, and you're going to lose 2 or 3 spots here. This is unbelievably close racing.
It's brilliant, isn't it? As the Virgin Racing team watch on, seeing their man Sam Bird essentially leading the way. He's in second place on the road, but the man in front of him, Daniel Abt, surely cannot last in the lead of the race. We've got 10 laps to go, and he's only got some 40% of usable energy remaining. Jarno Trulli flicking through the left-hander of turn 9, down into the hairpin. Nelson Piquet Jr. all of a sudden is looking very, very fast. This is the view from the rear of Lucas de Grassi's car.
Sam Bird, 8.7 seconds up the road here.
Yeah, really impressive. And he's lapping 5 seconds quicker than Daniel Abt. So there's the telemetry wheel. We can see 74% remaining from Lucas de Grassi. As he comes across the line, he's not quite using the full 150 kilowatts, moves towards the inside line. How close is he to Nelson Piquet Jr. in front of him? Oh, very close, and that's Piquet Jr. off. Collides with Jarno Trulli on the way down towards the first corner, and that allows Lucas de Grassi to come through. Nelson Piquet Jr. might be out of the race, he's slowing.
Front tyres are towed in there, he's broken the front track rod.
So drama down at the first corner. Nelson Piquet Jr. in trouble and looking like he's out of the race. And he pulls off to the side, and that means that Trulli at the moment is still in that net second place, but Lucas de Grassi is right up behind him. I think Daniel Abt is trying to get this car to the end of the race, because he is in the lead of the race. He's doing 1:30s, which is 5 seconds a lap slower than the men behind him. So Bird and Trulli and all this gang will close in, but I think they've gambled on, we're at the back of the pack, maybe we can get a sort of 10th place finish.
He's got a 21-second lead on Trulli, hasn't he?
Yeah, here's a look at the replay. So Trulli moved across on Piquet, and
that's not on, is it? No. I don't know if he knew he was there or what, but Piquet's race is ruined because of the inattention. You can't go to the inside and then drive back to the outside. That's yeah.
Yeah, that's an error from Jarno Trulli there, whether he knew Piquet was there or not.
Piquet was looking strong there.
He was
really strong.
That was the view from the back of Lucas de Grassi's car. Everything else was kicking off in front of it, but we saw him skip across the chicane, and there's the China Racing squad very unhappy. Now we go on board with Sebastian Buemi, who all of a sudden is challenging Lucas de Grassi in front of him as they come down towards the first corner. So the racing really is on here in Malaysia. You can see a few spots of rain on the onboard camera. Nothing too dramatic at the moment. That's easy for me to say, I suppose, as they come down towards turn 3. But now it's de Grassi. Jarno Trulli has come into the pits then to serve his drive-through through penalty. Jarno Trulli in the pits at the moment, so this is the battle at the moment over third position, but what will surely become a net second position.
Buemi almost got him on the cutback there. Watch out for the movement at turn 7, but Buemi seems to have learned a lot of patience driving in the World Endurance Championship. He really does. He's become a much more complete driver. I think he had quite a short fuse before. He's definitely fixing that part of his game.
We've only got 8 laps to go, and Daniel Abt is still leading the way, 22 seconds clear of this battle, and lapping about 4 or 5 seconds a lap slower. So I don't think it's going to be enough for Daniel Abt, and even at this pace, whether he can make his battery last.
It might have been his only option.
Yeah.
I'm surprised how well it's actually gone on that strategy. But if that's the only option you've got to take it.
So we stay on board with Lucas de Grassi. They are some 11 seconds further down the road from Sam Bird.
Car slow in the back of the screen there. Not sure who that was. Maybe Catherine Legg. Looked like a blue car.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out for that one as we go on board, or stay on board with de Grassi. Now we go on board
quite well there,
with Sebastian Buemi coming down into the first corner. Feints to the inside line. Not close enough. Oh, there was a look behind there. I think that was Bruno Senna attacking Jerome D'Ambrosio. Did he get through? I couldn't quite make out from the back of that shot, but certainly Bruno Senna had an attack. And, well, big lock-up from de Grassi. Will he get that stop? Yes, just about. You can see Daniel Abt only has 28% of remaining power. So it's going to be really touch and go for him as they slide their way through the right-hander of turn 4. And meanwhile, D'Ambrosio, I think, is still ahead of Bruno Senna. So there's Abt, our race leader, just flashing through shot. Then there is Sam Bird, lapping 3 seconds a lap quicker than the German in front of him.
10.5-second lead on de Grassi there, so he's probably at this point just thinking, okay, just back it off just a little bit, no need to set the world alight.
But he's still got to do enough to catch and pass Daniel Abt as he comes up towards the final corner. You can see how quickly Bird is closing in because Abt is having to run at a lower pace to try and eke this car out.
I'd love to see what power level he's running at right now and how much coast. And here comes Sam Bird already. He's almost on him. Look how little downforce they're running on the rear. How laid back that rear wing is.
Yeah, it's impressive stuff as Daniel Abt makes his way through the first chicane. Then in the lead of the race, we go on board with Sebastian Buemi, who pulls over to the right-hand side. And was that just a cover from his teammate Nico Prost on the run down towards the first chicane?
Yep, absolutely.
Now Senna's getting past D'Ambrosio into turn 1. Senna finds the inside line and moves up into net 6th position.
Impressive in a car that's had more than a wee bit of contact with the wall today.
Absolutely. So something happened then on that last lap to Sebastian Buemi because he lost about half a second in that final sector to his teammate Nico Prost, and equally dropped well off the back of Lucas de Grassi in front of him. So just to give you a recap, Daniel Abt is leading this race with 6 laps to go for the Abt team, but in second place is Sam Bird, 4 seconds behind and lapping 4 seconds a lap quicker. So it won't be very long before Sam Bird is right up and past Daniel Abt. But Abt had to pit early, decided to come in and switch over under the safety car conditions, so he didn't lose too much track time and gain track position, and it looks like it could possibly be a reasonable shout. He was at the back of the field anyway, but Sam Bird is certainly going to pass him before too long.
You've got to think how quick Abt's been this weekend, so clearly he's got the thing turned down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just trying to make it live.
And there is Hans-Jürgen Abt on the pit wall as they come down towards the first corner. And there you can see the gap coming down, and it won't be long. Oh, Sam Bird just straight lines the chicane there.
Not sure that was kind of pushing that hard is maybe necessary right now.
No, he's right up behind the back of Daniel Abt. And there you can see Abt has got 20% battery or available power remaining, so he is really having to cruise. He's doing a really good job of managing it though, and Daniel Abt waves Sam Bird past. So now Sam Bird, oh goodness me, that was a little tighter than I thought it was going to be, but Sam Bird now moves into the lead of the race, and Delight in the Virgin garage, and he now has essentially a 10-second lead over his nearest challengers.
Not bad, 4 laps to go.
No, it's looking good for Sam Bird. There is Jarno Trulli, so he's out of the race. He had to serve his drive-through penalty, but then things have taken a turn for the worst as well for Jarno Trulli.
The day started so well for them, didn't it? And it just went from bad to worse.
Well, he wasn't even particularly happy with his qualifying, was he? Because they didn't get full power out of the car, but he managed to start in 4th place. He was running as high as 2nd, but looks as though they've gone over their battery usage in that first stint of the race. So really, the scrap is on for second place. This is what it all comes down to in the last 5 laps. Sam Bird has got this essentially wrapped up. He's in the lead of this race. He's
that better not be the commentator's cursor, Jack.
No, exactly. He's not showing on the timing screens right now, but I think that's just a glitch. There he comes across the line, and he is in the lead of the race. And all these guys are now closing in. Is Di Grassi going to pass Abt? And Abt has acted as a bit of a rear gunner for his Abt teammate. Oh, big lockup from Di Grassi, gets it stopped. Meanwhile, Sebastian Buemi doesn't. He has to straight line the chicane, so these guys pushing so hard.
I think Abt's too slow to help his teammate out. Quite honestly, I just think the pace that he's having to run at, the other two will blow by on. The e.dams cars very, very close together and have done for about 2 laps now, so you might see a wee bit of action between these two because they've had a bit of a tough day and they want to get on the podium here.
And they've still got Bruno Senna running behind him. Then it's Jerome D'Ambrosio in 7th place. Karun Chandok is in 8th position. It's 9th for Jaime Alguersuari, 10th for our poleman Oriol Servia. So now we go on board with Sebastian Buemi, running almost to the max of the 150 there, as he's got 36% of usable power remaining. He is now right up behind the 2 Abt cars. So Daniel Abt will surely move out of the way for his teammate without much argument. There he goes, and Daniel Abt doing a good job actually getting out of the way of the chasing pack.
I'm not sure Buemi gave him any option whatsoever there. I think honestly that was a very forceful, quite rightly so, move from Buemi. Looks like Prost got held up behind him though.
Yeah, Prost has lost a bit of time and will now look to the inside coming into the final corner. There's only a certain amount of defending he can do.
Just him get airborne on that bump there.
Yeah, Nico Prost pushing super hard. So that means that he has now dropped, and Senna uses his fan boost. So this is a chance for Bruno Senna to get past Nico Prost, gets the extra power from the fan boost and gets up alongside down into turn 1. And Bruno Senna goes through, and that is 4th position now for Senna.
We've been waiting all day to say Senna past Prost, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly. I've been waiting my whole career. And so Senna is up into 4th position, and there's an example of the fan boost. It doesn't, and Catherine Legg is using hers as well, but she's all by herself out there at the moment, down in 16th position, so it's not going to be a huge advantage to her. But that's the thing with the fan boost. It doesn't change the whole course of the race, but it just gives you a little boost. Maybe you can get 1 place, and Senna has got that 4th position.
You've got to take your hat off to what Bruno Senna's doing. Let's not forget that car's been in the wall today, and you know he's running so well up to P4.
But this is our man in 2nd place, Lucas Di Grassi. He's got Sebastian Buemi right up behind him. They're 7.6 seconds behind Sam Bird, who appears to be slowing down a little bit, but probably just managing the power usage that he has available, and he's only got 3 laps to go, so he's just taking it easy as Sam Bird. And this would, of course, be interesting because it would keep Lucas Di Grassi at the top of the championship, but Sam Bird would move up into 2nd place in the championship, having finished 3rd in the opening round in Beijing. But this is a good run from the Virgin crew, and he's still got way more battery left than anyone else. He's on 33%, a good 8% more than Lucas Di Grassi in 2nd place. So that's very, very interesting.
Running the perfect strategy, as I said, keeping something in hand just in case he needs it. Got it with Di Grassi, great job again from the back of the grid.
And Buemi came with them, of course.
Yeah, good point.
They were 18th and 19th on the grid, Di Grassi and Buemi, and they're going to finish this race by the looks of it in 2nd and 3rd positions. In exactly what order of 2nd and 3rd, we've still got a couple of laps to find out. We're on the penultimate lap of racing here in Malaysia, in the 2nd round of the FIA Formula E Championship, and it has been absolutely action-packed.
Yeah, Buemi's getting up to the back end here of Di Grassi, isn't he? Let's see if there's a move on. I think looking up to this last lap, we're going to see some moves into turn 1, turn 3.
So we saw the last lap drama in Beijing just a couple of months ago. Karun Chandok has just got past Daniel Abt. In fact, Abt has now slipped down out of the points, unfortunately, but with only 2 laps to go, it was worth a punt, wasn't it? It almost picked up a couple of points, but it's this battle over 2nd place that is really the one to watch. Lucas Di Grassi has got slightly less remaining available energy than Sebastian Buemi behind, and Bruno Senna as well has got a good amount left in the tank as well as they come across the line to start the final lap of the race. It's nose to tail for 2nd position. Sam Bird is out in the lead of this one and looking comfortable, but on the final lap it's Di Grassi 2nd, it's Buemi 3rd, and it's Bruno Senna 4th.
I think a couple of safety car laps there and Abt would have been looking not too bad. It might have worked for him. He had to throw the dice, I think, in his situation. Yeah. Look at Buemi just sort of moving up onto the back end there of Degrassi.
There's Sam Bird down into turn 4. Then here comes Degrassi. If anything, it's Senna that's closest to Buemi at the moment. Through turns 5 and 6 comes Sam Bird. A really strong performance from the Englishman, flashing through in the Virgin Racing car. And what a superb performance this has been on so many levels from Sam Bird.
Dominant performance.
Yeah, staying well away from the walls. That's the sort of commentator's curse that can get you in trouble as he comes through the left-hander of 9, down into the hairpin of turn 10. Really taking it steady now, Sam Bird, as he gets the car locked in. And Senna's off and in the wall. On the final lap of the race, Bruno Senna loses it. That means Nico Prost will go through and up into 4th place. Senna was really pushing hard, but no matter how hard anyone pushed, they couldn't stop Sam Bird, who exits the final corner and wins in Putrajaya, the 2nd round of the FIA Formula E Championship. It's victory for Sam Bird and Virgin. Delight on the pit wall for the team. 2nd place for Lucas Di Grassi. It's 3rd for Sebastian Buemi. 4th across the line is his e.dams teammate Bruno Senna. And 4th, his e.dams teammate Nico Prost, I should say. Then it'll be Jerome D'Ambrosio in 5th. And there is Bruno Senna. Good to see him out of the car, because that was a hefty impact there.
Big hit, and that was one of the points that the drivers talked about. They didn't want to go off there. Great job against Degrassi Buemi on the podium from the back of the grid.
Yeah, really strong stuff as the cars continue to make their way around. Have we got any more battles to be resolved? Well, let's have a look at this. He just throws it into turn 9.
Look, he lost the rear.
Yeah, maybe that was his last chance, inside into 10, to take more speed through.
But to lose the rear at that point, that's a big shot.
Yeah.
There's not much of that left, is there? The tub stood up well yet again. But it was weird, the back went at a point where you're not going to be accelerating hard. Maybe you hit a bump wrong or something. There's our winner.
Sam Bird, wonderful performance from Sam Bird as he waves to the crowd around the circuit in a really entertaining race, it has to be said. It was nose to tail throughout, except for Sam Bird, who, if anything, was the most boring element of it.
Yeah, he did a great job to stick the place up, didn't he? But what a wonderful race behind there, nose to tail.
And Bruno Senna, a shame as well, because he'd used the fan boost to such good effect as well. Lucas Di Grassi and Sebastian Buemi will be the happiest men out there.
I wonder if something finally gave up on the car after him hitting the wall earlier, because it looked like it's a very unusual place that late in the corner to crash. I wonder if that's what happened and finally gave up the ghost. Typical 4 corners from home.
Yeah. So Senna in the wall. Hopefully we'll find out exactly what happened to Bruno at some point, but he is out of this race. He will be classified, I think, as a 14th place finisher, ahead of Frank Montani. Fastest lap of the race went to Jaime Alguersuari, so he picks up 2 points for setting the fastest lap of the race on lap 20. So that was quite a while ago now. Must have been his first lap out of the pits or something like that. And it was a 9th place finish as well for Alguersuari. But there is Lucas Di Grassi pulling into the pit lane. Oriol Serbia there finishing with 1% of battery available power remaining. As the cars pull in, Sebastian Buemi in 3rd spot, but there's our race winner, Sam Bird. Really impressive performance. GP2 runner-up in the past, and he proves why he's a very quick driver. Absolutely elated with that as he takes victory in Putrajaya. He goes over to congratulate the men that he didn't really race because he was so far up the road. But Di Grassi and Buemi were having a nice little fight as well, and the camaraderie in Formula E is great, and Di Grassi is ecstatic.
He's a happy boy. That's one of those situations when Sam Bird walks back and says, "What happened, boys? I didn't see any of it."
Absolutely.
He's a happy chap. Look at that.
Yeah.
This hand they're going to have there.
Yep. And I think they'll be very satisfied. Daniel Abt did manage to get a 10th place, actually, because of that retirement for Bruno Senna, so it was worth the gamble because he was right at the back of the pack, although it was quite a high rate of attrition, so he might have got there anyway.
Yeah, rightly so, though. Good, you know, who knows what issues they were suffering with that first car.
So Sam Bird has been weighed. High fives all around with Benoit Dupont, the sporting director, and then he makes his way down to his team. An absolute delight for the Virgin gang. hard work inside that cockpit by the looks of things. Fred Vasseur, the boss of Spark Technologies. And high fives with the app team as well. And so we can now hear from Sam Bird, our race winner in Putrajaya. He's about to be accosted by Nikki Shields.
Sam Bird, congratulations. You were absolutely unstoppable.
Yeah, it was mega, you know. The guys did an amazing job this weekend. We've really turned it around from pre-season, and I've got to say thanks to these guys here for giving me what was an unstoppable car today. The first stint we did the damage, and second car I just got it round really. There was no real need to push and just conserve the energy, and you know, other people were pushing at the end, getting closer, but we had it well under control.
And you used both of those safety cars really to your advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, overtaking in one and getting a great gap in the other, catching everybody sleeping. So very happy with today. Obviously, Lucas did an amazing job as well, coming from the back. So did Sebastian. I mean, I don't know how you got there, but mega.
That is very impressive, Lucas. All the way from the back of the grid up to second. Fantastic.
Yeah, it was an amazing race. I did a much better race than Beijing. The car performed really well. I had a lot of fights from the beginning of the race to the very end, and to finish second from last is something unbelievable. I'm happier than I am in Beijing, and coming out as a championship leader also is a great feeling.
So what can we expect for the future?
Well, less mistakes from my side and keep the good push for the races.
Fantastic, well done.
Good to hear from Lucas Di Grassi. Sam Bird saying, no idea how Lucas Di Grassi, how he got up into second place, and to be honest, I'm not sure if I do.
No. It was a great job though, absolutely great. You know, his pace was good.
Yeah.
Both him and Buemi's pace, very, very good. Actually, looking at the fastest laps, they're quite close. But Sam Bird's pace and ability to manage the power was the key there.
Let's hear now from Sebastian Buemi, our third place finisher.
Well, Sebastian Buemi, another brilliant example of the race is never over until the very end. You came right from the back of the grid to third.
Yeah, exactly. From P20, I think last position, to finish third is not too bad, I would say. We didn't have a great pace today, but we didn't make any mistakes. So in the end, third place is all we could expect really from our poor qualifying.
Why do you not think you had the pace today?
Well, I think we did some changes on the car and we are still learning. We thought it would be better, but in the end it was a little worse. So, you know, I'm very happy with the pace I had. To finish third is really good.
And what were the changes you were making?
We were trying to find a better setup, obviously, trying to make the car a little softer, and I think that was a little bit too much.
And how did you find the heat today? It's a lot hotter than it was in Beijing.
Yeah, it was good, obviously. You know, the car not so physical, but it was good to have a good race in dry condition, no rain, so really happy with today's results.
Fantastic, thank you.
So Sebastian Buemi will now make his way up to the podium. Reasonably satisfied Buemi. I'd expected him to be a little chirpier considering how far down he started on the grid. And it was a very good drive from him, but it was Sam Bird who took victory, weaving across the line, and he took the checkered flag for his Virgin Racing Formula E team. Hashtag Sam Boost. And he certainly had enough pace today without the Sam Boost. Without the fan boost, I should say. The Sam Boost isn't the thing, that's just his personal hashtag. Although he will be absolutely over the moon with that result. As we see the skyline of Putrajaya and what an entertaining race that turned into. Sam Bird then wins the race, 4.1 seconds clear of Lucas Di Grassi in the end, but that doesn't really tell the story of domination that it was for the Virgin driver today. Di Grassi finishing second, Sebastian Buemi and Nico Prost finishing in third and fourth for the e.dams-Renault team. Jerome D'Ambrosio had a good run to fifth place for Dragon. He started 20th on the grid, so it really was a race of comebacks. Karun Chandok finished sixth, poleman Oriol Servia could only manage seventh at the end. Antonio Felix da Costa in eighth, Alguersuari and Abt completing the top 10. Ho Pin Tung had a spin or two, he finished down in 11th place. Stefan Sarazan was a little bit anonymous in that race.
Easy for you to say.
Exactly, and he finished down in 12th position. And then the men who had dramas, Matti Brabham, Bruno Senna crashing out on the final lap. Montani, Legg, Trulli, Piquet Jr., Heidfeld and Cerruti, the non-classified runners. Well, a spectacular race in Putrajaya, and so far I think certainly in Beijing and even more so here, Formula E is going almost beyond expectations. expectations of the racing that we're seeing. It's been phenomenal.
Brilliant racing, absolutely incredibly close, and we're seeing that the smallest mistake is punished, absolutely. So you've got to be perfect, otherwise there's cars coming past you left and right. And I have to say though, just such a dominant performance today from Sam Bird. The rest of the field, you could throw a rug over them. He was gone though. He was at a different postcode today.
It's like it's got the sort of competitiveness of touring cars, doesn't it? The moment you lose one position, everyone else is coming past you. There are the rain clouds on their way for later on. Looking forward to that. That'll no doubt arrive in the next couple of hours, but good that it didn't happen during the race. There is Alejandro Agag, the CEO of Formula E, congratulating everyone out there, and he's cheered Sebastian Buemi up a little bit.
I'll say though, you're talking about touring cars. There's not a lot of guys driving into each other to make all the passes, you know, and that says a lot for the, I think, for the talent of the drivers and how close they're racing without that. Yeah, there's contact occasionally, but it's not the norm, and you know, I think it's important to keep it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. There is Sam Bird, then our race winner on the left-hand side. Never driven a Formula 1 Grand Prix, Sam Bird, but he was the Mercedes third driver for a couple of years. And now a full-time racer with the Virgin Racing team. And then Lucas de Grassi and
I think they've been told
on the podium, yeah.
They've been given their marching orders on the podium here not to get any champagne on the Prime Minister and that kind of stuff.
It's a good job Montani's not up there actually, because that would be the first thing he'd do, wouldn't it? So there are the victors. That's Alex Tye on the left-hand side, the team principal of the Virgin Racing team. And he was for a brief period in charge of the Virgin Racing Formula 1 effort as they get ready to head out onto the podium. And Alex Tye saying, you had so much power left, Sam. And
he's just rubbing it in, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Even in the first simulation that happened at Donington Park, Bird managed to go a lap longer than anyone else and get more power out of the car than anyone else. So whether it's Virgin or whether it's Bird, whether Alguersuari can do the same, but we just haven't been able to see it. It'll be very interesting to find out.
I think a lot of it's his technique. I might be wrong, but a lot of it is the technique, and you could see that from the first race sim at Donington Park. He was able to carry, and his technique is to carry a lot of entry mid-corner speed, which seems to be working in these cars. So you know, fair play to him. Him and his engineer have figured it out. I think the only mistake he made all day, he ran through the chicane once while coming up behind Abt, didn't he? Apart from that, flawless, absolutely flawless.
Absolutely. So Lucas de Grassi talking to Alex Tye, but now it's time for the podium procedure to get underway. And well, they're just trying to figure out which order the podium is going to go in. But it'll be Sam Bird going out first, I would be reasonably sure of, as the race winner in Putrajaya. Sam Bird emerges to the roar of the crowd, and he climbs on to the top step of the podium in Malaysia. Second place on the podium for Lucas de Grassi, and third spot for Sebastian Buemi. And a really strong... And there is the Prime Minister, Mr. Najib Razak, on the podium. And the trophy is about to be awarded to our winning drivers and team representatives here. And it's Sam Bird, the race winner, who will receive his trophy. And that'll be very, very satisfying for him in such a competitive championship. He takes victory, he takes the trophy, and he is the winner of the second ever FIA Formula E race here in Putrajaya. The winning team trophy going to Alex Tye, again from the Prime Minister, Mr. Najib Razak. Lucas de Grassi finishing in second place. Great drive from him, as we've said. 18th on the grid for third in the race. And then third place for Sebastian Buemi, the Swiss racer. A strong drive from Buemi after another difficult qualifying. So now the drivers will all pose for a photo on the top step of the podium as they all gather up on the top. And it's Sam Bird victorious here in Malaysia. Lucas de Grassi remains at the top of the championship, and it's a third-place finish for Sebastian Buemi. And now the Prime Minister has gone, they've checked, and it's time for the champagne. Alex Tai getting a soaking. But a wonderful race here in Malaysia. And Sam Bird gets a bash on the head for his troubles from de Grassi's champagne bottle. Tell you what, that champagne bottle's bigger than Sam Bird, isn't it?